Hey there. So I'm really excited to share with you just one strategy that you can teach your child tomorrow, or you can have your child watch this video tomorrow, and it's really going to help them with their reading comprehension. Especially when they are either starting a new book or they might be in the middle of a book and they come to a word that they don't know. But what I'm going to teach you is how you can research meanings of words so that when you are reading your book, you're going to be able to understand and comprehend what you read even more. Okay? So to give you a little background, I was working with a third grade student yesterday on this very specific thing. And she was reading the book Judy Blume, Deanie. And let me show you what that book looks like. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, there it is, the red book there, Deanie. Maybe you've read this book before, so you'll know what I'm talking about. But she was reading that book, and she was reading the back cover blurb, and she came to a word she didn't know. So I had to give her some strategies. We had to solve that word together. And then I asked her, did she knew what that word meant? And one thing I want you to hear with this is that she actually read this book. She started to read this book last week. Okay, she got this new book from our library and she started to read it. And I told her what to do. I said, before you start reading, I want you to take a look at the front cover, take a look at the back cover, and make some predictions about what you think is going to happen in this book. And so she obviously read the back cover blurb because she shared with me her predictions yesterday from what she thought what this book was going to be about. So I know she got to that word, and I know she didn't know what it meant, but yet she started reading the book anyways. And so this is the reason why I'm telling you this, is because this is going to be so important as to why you need to teach your child this, why you need to teach them to research the meanings of words, because it really can hinder them from understanding and comprehending the book that they're about to read. Okay, so here's the strategy you can teach them. It says, smart readers research words they don't know to help them understand what the book might be about. Okay, and I'm going to walk you through these 4 steps, exactly how I did it with my third grader yesterday with the book Judy Blume, Deanie. Okay, so the first thing was, she obviously came to that word. She didn't know what it meant. So I said, number 1 is you can look it up in the dictionary. So she had a dictionary with her. She looked it up, and she was having some trouble finding the word in the dictionary. So I said, you know what? Sometimes that happens as readers. Sometimes we get to a word we don't know, and we try really hard to find it in the dictionary, and we just can't find it. So here's what you can do. Your next step is go to Google. And I want you to type in what is, and then whatever that word is. So let me tell you the word that she came to. It was scoliosis, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to show you exactly what we did together. So we went to Google, and we typed in, what is scoliosis? And hit enter. And this is what came up. All these different websites, images of what it could be as well. And so what we did was, we just went to the right-hand side where you see this kind of blue box with a picture of a person, and you can see their spine and their ribs and everything. So we read the overview underneath the picture. It says, a sideways curvature of the spine. Scoliosis occurs most often during the growth spurt just before puberty. Most cases are mild with few symptoms. Some children develop spine deformities that get more severe as they grow. Severe scoliosis can be painful and disabling. Often no treatment is necessary. Sometimes a brace or surgery is needed. Now, as we went through this definition, I paused and I talked about some of the words that she might not have been familiar with, and we talked about what they meant, and I made sure that she understood that. Like, for example, symptoms, puberty, growth spurts, disabling. So there were some words there that we had to process through and use strategies for to make sure that we understood what that meant, so she knew what the meaning of scoliosis was. I gave her some examples as well. So now that was step 2. We found out on Google what scoliosis was. So then step 3 is, okay, go back, reread, and then summarize what you think is happening now that you know what that word means. So she read the first sentence, then she read the sentence with the new word in it, and then she read the sentence after it. And then she gave a little summary about what she thought was going to happen in the book now that she knows what scoliosis means. So then I asked her, why do you think this is important in the story? Okay, I'm going to unshare my screen really quick. Why do you think this is important to the story? Okay. And she said, well, you know, I'm not sure. I'm not sure why this is important. And I said, you know what? That's okay. But as readers, we recognize that if the author put this, you know, on the back cover, that it's got to have some importance to the story. And as a reader, we got to find out what that importance is. We got to know more about it before we even start reading a book. So that way we're not surprised or we're not confused as we're reading. So here's what we did next. Number 4. I told her, let's find one more description of this book online. And here's the reason why. Because sometimes if you type in the book, they'll have different like synopsis or overviews or descriptions of the book in different ways. And they might share a little bit about the book that the other website didn't share, or even the back cover blurb didn't share. And so this is a way to get even more background on the book. So I'm going to share my screen again. And this time, I'm going to show you what we did. We typed into Amazon the title of this book, and this is what we came up with. It says, Scoliosis, twists Deanie's plans for 7th grade in the classic Judy Blume novel with a fresh new look. Deanie's mother wants her to be a model with her face on the magazine covers, maybe even in the movies. But Deanie wants to spend Saturdays with her friends, Janet and Midge, tracking Harvey Grabowski, the captain of the football team, around Woolworths. She wants to be a cheerleader too and go to the 7th grade mixer to hear Buddy Brady play his drums. Instead, Deanie is diagnosed with scoliosis, and that means body stockings to squeeze into, a room full of strangers to face, and a terrifying brace that she'll need to wear for years that goes from her neck to her hips. Suddenly, Deanie has to cope with a kind of specialness that's frightening and might be hers forever. Okay, so now as we read that together, her eyes was like, wow, oh my goodness, now I know why the author told me about scoliosis. On the back cover blurb, it didn't say anything about her being diagnosed with scoliosis. There's some of this part was not on the back cover blurb, but it's so important to the story. And now that she knows that this character was diagnosed with scoliosis and how much of a challenge this is going to be for her, now her mindset or her perspective as she reads this book is totally different. Okay, totally changed. And now she'll be able to take on the meanings and the challenges that the characters are going to face with a new lens, because now she knows this ahead of time. Okay, so have your child watch this video or teach this to them tomorrow or this weekend, whenever, and teach them that it's so important to research meanings of new words even before they start reading a book, because it's going to transform their mind and give them a new lens or perspective on what they're about to read. And now they're going to have background knowledge, and they'll be able to take that knowledge into what they're reading, and they'll be able to comprehend and understand what they're reading even more. All right? You guys have a great night. Bye-bye.